In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. DPS is investigating a crash involving a Leander ISD school bus with dozens of students on board. The crash happened Wednesday afternoon on Nameless Road in northwest Travis County. Students were headed home from Baghdad Elementary when the bus rolled over while going around a curve. At least 12 patients were taken to the hospital. 3 of them had serious injuries. DPS is investigating what caused the crash. Leander's ISD buses are equipped with 3-point seat belts. This is what they look like. District officials say it's state law that students use those seat belts. The bond for the man accused in Monday's deadly shooting at a Target store parking lot in North Austin has been set at $2.5 million. 32-year-old Ethan Nineker is accused of killing 3 people, including a child. He faces 2 capital murder charges and 1 felony murder charge. Well, the clock is ticking in the Texas legislature's special session. Absent House Democrats have until Friday to return to the lower chamber before the special session starts all over again. The House hasn't been able to get any business done since more than 50 House Democrats left the state last week in an effort to stop the Republican-led effort to change the congressional map in Texas. If the House can't reach a quorum by Friday, Republican leaders say they will end the session. Then Governor Greg Abbott will immediately call a second special session with the same agenda. Meanwhile, the House Democrats who are out of state say they will continue fighting. House Minority Leader Gene Wu of Houston and several other Texas Democrats met with Indiana Democrats on Wednesday. Vice President J.D. Vance visited Indiana last week to encourage the state's Republican leadership to consider redrawing their congressional districts as well. Several GOP state lawmakers there have come out against that proposal. Well, back at the Capitol, a House panel listened to testimony on a bill to ban consumable hemp products with THC in Texas. House Bill 5 would also ban selling or marketing consumable hemp products to anyone under the age of 21 and establish labeling and packaging requirements. Lawmakers say there are thousands of smoke shops across Texas, and some sell products that exceed legal THC levels. Allen Police Chief Steve Dye says regulation is not feasible. He says officers lack the resources to properly regulate the level of THC in every product.
It's very costly. We had to test all of those products through a private lab because DPS can't handle the volume. So it's very expensive. Some district attorneys in some counties won't even prosecute the cases. And then, you know, does the department have the city support and the resources to do that?
Opponents say other states have legalized recreational marijuana use. They have strict regulations. Mark Hollings with the Early Bird CBD in Austin says removing legal products from shelves would push sales to illegal markets.
If HB 5 passes, our customers who are upstanding citizens and responsible consumers will be criminals overnight. My customer will likely go back to the bar, liquor store, or resort to buying from unregulated out-of-state websites. That means less safety, no age checks, and no Texas oversight.
Governor Greg Abbott vetoed a similar bill in the regular legislative session. He said he would support a ban on synthetic hemp products for those under the age of 21. The city of Austin kicked off a new effort to modernize downtown streets. It's an update of the Great Streets Plan City Council passed nearly 25 years ago. Adam Bennett shows us what could change.
On Wednesday, 2nd Street in downtown Austin was busy with people walking the sidewalks and strolling down memory lane.
Everything has changed so much.
Ashlyn Eady used to live nearby. Today, she and her sister-in-law were grabbing lunch.
My husband always proposed on it because it's always been and always will be my favorite street in Austin.
The wide, walkable sidewalks, shade trees, benches, bike racks, and other amenities were built through the city's Great Streets program. The goal? A safer, more inviting space for pedestrians and a boost to businesses. So far, 230 downtown blocks have gotten these improvements. Private developers pay for most Great Streets projects. Nearly a third of revenue from downtown parking meters, just over $700,000 per year, funds the program.
Now the city is looking at ways to modernize these benches, landscaping, trash cans, and other amenities along 2nd Street and expand them to other parts of downtown. And for ideas, they went to the library.
The Austin Central Library hosted an open house on Wednesday on the Great Streets Plan update.
We're making sure that the community is on board with the direction that we're thinking about heading for this update.
Program manager Jill Amezcua says balance is key.
Making sure that you have enough spaces for both parking and the travel lanes as well.
Cutter Gonzalez recently moved back to Austin from Houston.
What made it a place I want to come back to was this kind of stuff.
He spends a lot of time downtown walking and biking.
I think the renders are obviously very early, very high level, not specific, but it shows a good framework that shows respect for all road users.
Feedback the city will use to craft recommendations.
Excited to get it done. I hope we can get it done quickly.
The next step
It's always like my happy place.
to building memorable streets. Adam Bennett, KVUE News.
And with the new school year beginning for many thousands of students across Central Texas, it might be interesting to look back at a time when education reform and classroom overcrowding were challenges facing our local schools. Bob Buckaloo takes us back to the 1980s.
The first day of school in Austin, 44 years ago, looking back at KVUE news coverage of back-to-school stories in the 80s, shows some common themes, including overcrowding at schools and the impact of Texas education reform. In this 1981 news story, an example of how Austin was dealing with sudden growth, an issue that continues to face some area school administrators today. KVUE reporter Kay Vinson.
Over 100 sixth graders have been moved into the gymnasium because of a shortage of classrooms. Instead of walls, the only partitions are movable blackboards.
Another challenge, long rides to and from school on buses. KVUE reporter Michelle Cheney.
School boundaries and the busing of thousands of students continues to be a dilemma for some parents and school trustees. A study has been launched to try and even out any unfairness in busing patterns.
Schools across Texas also had to deal with the impact of education reforms from the state legislature. Students weren't allowed to participate in extracurricular activities if they were failing a course, known as no pass, no play. KVUE reporter Arthel Neville.
Teachers in the Austin Independent School District will now receive higher pay, and sometime during the school year, teachers as well as school administrators will have to take a mandatory competency test.
To the republic for which it stands. It's fun to look back at the way school kids dressed back then, and to see the look of bewilderment on their faces as a new school year began. There's one more thing to think about. Those cute kids in our back-to-school coverage from the 80s.
Smile, little Ray.
Smiling. They're at least 50 years old now. Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
Oh, will you look at that? Well, those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Mark Mullins.